Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about JavaScript. We're going to focus on the key concept as usual. Okay, we're not going to deep dive on every single topic. We're just going to talk about the fundamentals, the essentials, concepts and topics. And we're going to try to do as much as possible, try to demonstrate to you hands-on by doing hands-on practices. So we're going to start with I just created a file here. You can go ahead and let me remove this for you. You can just open Visual Studio Code, create a folder there, and yeah, let me show you. Let's start from scratch so you are aware. I will just open CMD here. I'm going to go to desktop, and I'm going to create a folder here. I'm going to say JavaScript course, JavaScript essentials, and I'm going to navigate to a folder, script essentials, and I'm going to type code.e. Open for me Visual Studio Code, and from here all I have to do is just create one file here. I'm going to name it index.js. Remember, JavaScript starts with the extension JS, and from here I'm just going to try something here. I'm going to declare a variable just to make sure that it's actually working. I'm going to declare x equals to 10, and I'm just going to type here console.log. Let's type x and save it, and then I'm going to open a terminal here. Where is the terminal here? So just I'm going to run it. To run it, you have to use node dot, no need to put node index.js. So the answer will be 10. So that means it's running. So basically console log is just displays what the output on the console. It's used for, yeah. So let's just start with variables. Okay, variables are like labeled boxes where you store things. The label tells you what's inside, and you can replace the content later. Okay, just think of variables like labeled boxes. Okay, just like this one. This is x is a variable. Okay, I stored the number 10 inside x, and I used x to output the content. Okay, and if I want to change the content of x, all I have to do is just type here 30. So now when I run this command, okay, it's going to run 30. It's not going to run 10 because I already changed the variable to 30, right, from 10 to 30. So yeah, it can be changed anytime. The idea is it can be changed. The variable can be changed anytime, and yeah. And if you use let, it can be changed anytime. If you use const, this is a constant. We use const if you want the value to be constant and cannot be changed. Okay, for example, this is the question, right? And let's say we can assign and declare. We have to assign and declare on the same line. Okay, here if you notice, I can just do like this, right? I can just type here, remove. I can just declare. This is declaring the variable and assigning it on a separate line. Okay, and it will still work, right? The answer is 30, so it's still working. But const, I can't do that. Actually, I can't just do like this, declare it here, and actually you can't. It will give you an error before you run it. Declaration must be initialized. Const declaration must be initialized, and yeah. And this way we can just, let's say I run here pi and save this one, and yeah, no, because I didn't save this actually. Run this now, 3.14. So the point, my point is, const, you use const when you want the when the value shouldn't change. Okay, if the value will change. Okay, this is yeah, and yeah, we cannot reassign, but const doesn't mean mutable object, right? Yeah, but in case of objects, okay, yeah, in case of objects, it's different. It can change. Like for example, object. We will talk about the details, but just for now, let's see. This is how you declare an object. Const person, name, yeah, name. I will name it here, John. Okay, and let's say I want to change. No, I want to access or change. I prefer to. Let me just remove this one. We don't need it. Let me just paste this one, and I will just say here. Yeah, let's say I want to change the content of person dot name. Okay. Now, before changing, let me display first of all what we will get here, person, and let me just clear this one. Let me type node index.js, clear this one again. Yeah, I think the spelling is actually wrong here. I didn't save this one, so we have to save this one and run it again. So I got the object here. It's telling me name is John, right? So let's say I want to change this one. All I have to do is just type here person dot name. I want it to be James or Sam or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So now let's save this one and try to run it again. You see, I was able to change the content of an object. Okay. That is using const. Okay, this is a special case. In case of object, we can change the properties. It's called properties. Okay, and in arrays are basically, this is an array. Let's just remove this one. Const numbers, and going to call it here 1, 2, 3, and that's me numbers dot push. We use it to add items to an array, add content to an array. So now let me just console dot log and print numbers. See what happens. It's going to print for me 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, because I added one item here inside the array. Okay, I use push to add inside the array. So even though I'm using const, I was able to change this. Remember, on both array and object. The best practice, use const by default, and let when you need to reassignment, reassignment. So that's the idea. So data types are the kind of the stuff. Like for example here, let me say equals to 10. So if I ask you what's the data type of x, it's going to be number, right? Because this is a number, right? But if I put here x equals to yeah, no, keep this a number. Okay, keep it like this. Let's say I declare another variable here. I name it name, and I put here John. So what's the data type of the name? It's a string, right? John is a string. If I use double quote, it's a string. Okay, so this is a string because yeah, and this is a number. This is what you call data type. Okay, and let me type is online or something equals to true. Okay, and this is called boolean. Boolean can be true or false. True or false. Or false. So the idea of this is basically yeah. So if I use true or false, then it's a boolean. The data type is a boolean. This is a string. This is an object. Okay, and let's say here, let me say I define here y. Okay, and I put here equals to null. Okay, the data type is going to be null. It's going to return null, right? Okay, and let me type here yeah, an object. Okay, an array or whatever. No, array is not a data type actually. Object is like, let's say I type here const person, okay, equals to this one. So this is an object. Okay, array are objects. Okay, and if I type here const names for example, or fruits or whatever, yeah, whatever here equals to, and I type here brackets, and this is an array, but it's going to be called as an object. Okay, arrays are objects actually. Okay, and here actually null, when we talk about null, it's going to return an object as well. It's a JavaScript bug, going to return an object, not null. There is no null data type. Okay, and let's say I define here a z. Okay, I'm going to just say I'm just going to declare it like this and call it like as it is without any. Let's say I declare this variable and I didn't assign it any value. What's going to be? It's going to be undefined. Okay, declared variables, but not assigned. Assigned any value. So that's the idea of the not assigned any value. So that's the idea of undefined. Okay, and you have to know the difference also. When we talk about objects, object is going to be curly braces like this, right? Yeah, and arrays we will use as brackets. We use brackets, not curly braces. And function is when we type like this, like let's say I use function here. Function, I'm going to say hello or welcome or whatever. Yeah, hello here. I'm going to do it this way and return something, whatever. Yeah, x or whatever. So the idea here is that functions, and this is going to be as function. Okay, the data type of this one is going to be a function. It's going to be a function. Okay, yeah. So we can test it out now. Okay, now that we defined most all of the data types, all the possible data types, now we have a way to check the data type actually. Console.log, we call it type of, and you can type x here, and let me view the terminal, and yeah, so yeah, so now let me run this one. Let me save this one and run this one. Yeah, I'm going to see what we get. 1 second. Number. Okay, see, I'm getting here number for x, because x is a number, right? And let me define here the type of is online. This is a command that is a built-in function in JavaScript that tells you what is the type of the variable. So we save this one, try this one. It's a boolean. Is online is a boolean. Okay, you see this one, it's a boolean. And let's try y and save this one and run this one. It's an object. Okay, null is actually the type of null is actually an object. Okay, this is a JavaScript bug. Okay, but it shouldn't be, but it is in the JavaScript. Okay, it's considered as an object. Okay, X now this is interesting. See, when we type here Z, okay, see what we will get. No, this is because I didn't save this one. 1 second, save it and clear this one because we're going to. Now let's try this one. We get undefined. Undefined means we declare the variable and we didn't assign it any value. That's the issue. Okay, and let's try person here. Let's change this one to a person. And run it again. It's going to be an object. Okay, yeah, this is an actual object. Yeah, if you use curly braces, it's an object, right? And this is an array because we use bracket, but the data type is named as an object. Array is an object. Okay, if you change this to fruits, still you should get an object. Yeah, an object. So let's try one more here. Hello. Type of hello, it's going to be, this is supposed to be a function. It is displaying a number for some reason because I'm trying to call it. Let's try it without calling this one. It's a function. You see what happened? Yeah, we got a function here. So these are the data types available. Okay, and yeah, so and that's about this. And there is one more way also we can check whether it's an array or not. We can use this command array dot is. This is a built-in function. It will tell you whether something is an array or not, right? If we put here, this is an object, right? It shouldn't be an array. So we should let me cancel this one. Try to put it here so we can see the output. False, because this is not an array, right? And let's say I put an array here. Okay, a bracket or type an array like 1 yeah, apple, comma, orange. So this is considered actually an array. Okay, this is true. Okay, so this is what we use. Type coercion. JavaScript is quirky side, has a quirky side. JavaScript tries to help by converting types, sometimes too much. String plus number is actually string. Okay, like for example, basically this is a good example. So yeah, these are the data types. We talked about them, and let's just remove everything. Okay, and see this one. No, let me just try it out here. So when we try this one, okay, 5 and add it plus 3, what do you think the reply will be? This is a string and you're adding it with a number. It's going to consider it as a string. So when you run it, it is supposed to, but I didn't put console.log. Save. Yeah, it's 53. It's considering it as a string. Okay, other operation converts. Yeah, okay. And if you type 2 number, yeah. So yeah, these are the things. Boolean corrections, false values, evaluate to false, null undefined, not a number, truthy value, everything else. Always use unless you use a specific reason to use this one. No, okay. So let's just move on. Scope, where variable lives. Scope is like visibility in the building. Global scope is lobby, everyone can see it. Function is private office. So the idea of scopes actually is that like, for example, if you put here function, okay, we're going to declare any function here. I'm going to call it hello. Okay, this is just a simple function. I'm going to call it this way, and I'm going to type console.log, and I'm going to say x here. Okay, and I am going to type here declare the variable let x equals to 5. So when I call the function here hello, what do you think will happen? It's going to answer 5 because it's declared. Why this is working? Because this is actually a global variable, a global scope, because we declared it. It's available everywhere. Okay, this is available everywhere. Okay, so even if you call it from inside the function, still it's going to run the number. Okay, but what if we just remove this one, we put it inside the function? Okay, let x equals to 5, we put it inside a function, and we just cut the output and we just put it here. Okay, and yeah, put that. Okay, let's just put something here. Okay, yeah, so this is what's happening actually. Okay, the reason first it runs 5. Okay, because we are running this one inside the block function. Inside the function is considered one block, right? So here it's seeing the variable because it's declared and assigned inside the block, right? But when we it's seeing the variable, it's outputting it. Okay, but here when we try to call the variable from inside, we call the variable, we're getting an error here saying x is not defined because we cannot see x. Actually, we're trying to call it from outside, from the global scope. Okay, while x is actually a variable declared and assigned inside the block scope. Okay, this is the idea of scopes. Okay, so so you can, if you assign, you can, but if we put it back to the, if you assign and assign the x and the global scope, when we run this command, it's supposed to work without any error. Both console log that's inside and the console log that's outside of the block, function block, it's going to run 5. So this is the correct way of doing it. So hoisting is just a way JavaScript moves declarations to the top, but not initializations. Okay, so right now if you want to just call a function, this hello dot here, if you try to call it from here, like on the top. Okay, so remove this one, we don't need it now. So actually you're not going to get an error here. Clear? You see, it's going to run, because even if you call the function from before declaring it, okay, it's going to run just like you saw here. It didn't give any error. The reason is because what JavaScript is actually doing on the background is going to take this one, okay, and put it here. Okay, that's how it sees it. Okay, how it does the that's what we call hoisting, when JavaScript moves declarations to the top. Okay, and yeah, same thing here. You see, say hi. We're trying to call a function before declaring it. That's not an issue with JavaScript. It will just put the declaration and bring it up on the top. So that's what we call by hoisting. It moves declarations to the top. That's why you don't get an error. And you can read about it on your own. As I said, we are not actually going to deep dive on every topic, and we're just going to go through the key concepts and try to understand as much as possible before moving on to the more advanced concepts, the more advanced concept and language, the React. We're going to use. We're learning this actually for React, because on a production environment you're actually going to use a framework called React. Okay, it's a JavaScript framework, but before learning React we have to learn the essentials of JavaScript, because jumping from without learning the essentials is actually going to be difficult for you to understand the language. So we're going to talk about functions now. Functions is like a recipe. Okay, you define the steps once, and then you call it whenever you want to make it that dish. This is an example of a function. You already know about functions, right? So let's deep dive on it. Function declarations are hoisted, can be called before definition. Remember, this is how I call the function, right? When I put this, it run without any errors. Okay, even though I'm calling it before I declare the function, right? So it's doing this by hoisting it. So function expression not hoisted. Okay, expressions are not hoisted, stored in variable. Okay, this is what we call expression. Const subtract equals to function a b. Because you are storing it inside a variable. Okay, this type of functions are actually not hoisted. Okay, so you can't call it before declaring it. Arrow function. This is very important. Okay, arrow function. We have to learn about arrow functions. Arrow functions are actually a modern, concise way of writing functions. So you don't have to just type function here. Usually we just type here the name of the function, okay, and double brackets, and we open here, right? But we don't have to do this now. With arrow function, all we have to do is just we can say const here. Okay, I can say multiply. Multiply is just the name of a function. It's the same as hello here, for example. I can just use hello example, or previous example, and I can just type here, open braces here, and do this and return x, for example. Okay, let's just declare x here equals to 10. Just keep it similar as the previous example, and let's try to call it, and let's see what happens. Error, because we can't access the hello before initialization. It's not allowing me to do this because I'm using it because this is actually considered the function expression. Okay, this is not hoisted. Okay, so we have to declare it, then only we can call it. Okay, when we call it here, okay, when we use Yeah, so let me clear this one. Node, it's not running anything actually here. There is a reason why it's not running. X, it's supposed to return X. Actually, I'm supposed to call it, but I'm typing here return instead of typing console.log, so we can see the output actually here from inside. 10. Okay, so I'm getting here 10. Okay, so it's the same as doing this one. This and this function hello is actually same as this one, as typing this one, except shorter, and mostly we're going to use the arrow functions in React, and this is actually the best way to do it. And even shorter, we can actually make it even shorter, like implicit return, no curly brace. Again, you can read about this because I really yeah. So this stuff, you can read it about this. We'll cover some of the most important parts later on. So, but you can go ahead and read more about arrow functions. But the key point that we need to understand is this one. Okay, this is the syntax. We just put equal bracket, and this we can add arguments inside here. For example, let's put here sum. Okay, and we put here A and B. Okay, and let me assign here A equals to 10, and let B equals to 5. So here we just output A plus B or something, and yeah, so I'm supposed to get exactly what is not defined, because this is actually not function name. Let's type sum here and save this one. Clear this one. I have A comma B. This is arguments. Okay, so I want to put it here. Let result equals to A plus B, and I want to put result. I want to just output the results in the console, not a number. It's giving me not a number. Okay. So let's see, because it's actually okay. I didn't save it. Maybe. Let's see. No, it's saved. Okay, we have A. Okay. I think A is supposed to be a number, but it's taking it as a string. I think one of the is becoming one of them is. Let me just try to display A here. Yeah, so yeah, let's try to run this one. Let me save this one, and it's getting undefined. I'm getting A is undefined for some reason. Okay, that's actually interesting. Let me see what's exactly is the issue here. How is A undefined? A is here, but when we go to the up here, okay, inside it's actually when we reach the function, it's reaching it's becoming undefined. The argument is becoming undefined, but yeah, undefined with the let's try to see what's the output of B. It must be same, right? Undefined. So when you add two undefineds, you get not a number. So basically the issue is here, it seems like. I'm trying to do that, it's not working. So let's go ahead and just put the declaration here. A equals to B, let A equals to 10. Let me put this one, and why the fuck not? A parameter A any. So this is not taking it as a number. Okay, let me try type of console type of number. Yeah. Anyways, okay, let's move on. We'll see this one on the later on. Okay. Parameters and arguments. Okay, default parameters. We have something called default parameters. Okay, default parameters are just fallbacks. Like for example, yeah. For example, let me just clear this one so we can see what's default parameters. Let's go here, function. Let me type greet here or whatever. I say here name is equals to guest, and hello, comma, name, yeah. And let me just, you know what, let me just copy this one so I can show you to save us time. Let me just copy this one and paste it here. Yeah. So, and when I just run this command, okay, see here we have function greet name equals to guest. This is what we call default parameters. Okay, so this is an argument and we are assigning it a fallback parameter, like in case the user doesn't send or enter any input, okay, for the name argument, we just give it, we just name it name equals to guest. That's the idea. And then return hello name, hello guest. So let's say I output like this. I do console log greet. Okay, I don't send any, I don't assign any name. Okay, when I run this one, it's going to return hello guest. Okay, but if I type here like this, greet John, okay, I put a name, when I run this one, it's going to say hello John. Okay, so this is just in case default parameters, in case the user doesn't input any input. Okay, rest parameters, we have collects remaining argument. Okay, yeah, so function sum message, and let's just check this one. Let's try this one. Let's check this one and play with it. So this is rest. Okay, so what it does is basically when you type message here, but we need to define actually the number, I think. Yeah, so yeah, so let's go ahead and do this one. I have here numbers. Okay, so when I call the sum, okay, message, Okay, so let me just put a space here and tell you what it will. No, save this one, clear this one. Good. So we have total 34. It's supposed to display 1 2 3 4 actually. Okay, so basically we're using something called here rest parameter. Rest means we're taking these numbers that we are, when we call the sum function, we are adding the message, which is total here, and we're taking the numbers here, we're putting it, we're using rest dot 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 numbers. Okay, that's rest. We're going to talk about it later on, but the idea of the rest is basically instead of typing like here A, B, C or multiple variables for every single input, you can just type here one variable and add here 3 dots before it. It's going to collect the remaining arguments. The idea is collect remaining argument. Okay, like this 1 2 3 4 is going to be numbers. Then when you output message, it's going to return total. When you return the numbers, dot reduce total num. Reduce is just it's actually calculating the total, the average of an array, like the total. Yeah, again we'll talk about this later on. Okay, but the idea is, okay, let's just go ahead and try this one. Instead of typing this one, let's try here the numbers. Okay, so I can show you what exactly we are doing. Numbers. Note this one, 1 2 3 4. The numbers are 1 2 3 4, right? So before the numbers, I want to say, let me put backticks here, so it will display for me properly. And this we call template literal actually. Template literals. Yeah, this is called template literal. Okay, instead you want to run a single variable inside a string, you can use this backtick. Okay, you can just type here let's say I want the message, for example, message here. I can just type here message and call it here, and I can type a string before it. Okay, I can say here the total is, I can say here is numbers here. You see also the difference when I use the template literal, it removed the array, the brackets. Okay, so it puts it in a string. So when I run this one, it's going to return for me the total is 1 2 3 4. Okay, that's the idea of arguments. Okay, it's how we put arguments inside the variable. Okay, and yeah, and also this is very important. Template literals are important. You need to understand it very well. Use backtick here. You type a string and you can put any variable inside the string by using $, bracket, braces, and you type the variable name, and that's it. That's all you need to do. So it will give you the output like that. So closures. So the idea, I'll just show you the concept of closures. Okay, and then we can move on, because yeah, again I'm focusing only on things that are very important for us. Closures are basically a function inside a function. That's how you will how it's defined by most people. So it's just the idea of putting a function inside a function. Okay, for the there is one more definition, actually a better definition for closure. I put it inside the, one second, let me show you the correct definition of closure. I've got a better definition. I think I put it inside key, a file called key or something. Yes, here. So closure is when a function remembers and uses variables from outside of its scope even after the outer function has finished running. Used for data privacy. Okay, the function inside a function that has access to an outside variable. Okay, that's the idea. So that's the concept of a closure. That's the concept of closures. Yeah, so that's the concept of closure, and yeah, that's the concept of closure. That's what we need to actually know for now. Okay, so we can let me just show you what we did here. Practical example for counter. Here we have one example here, once function, and initialize. So practically, okay, so let me just see this one, what is, just to see, to have a look of the issue. Okay, this is a function, okay, and we've put another function here inside. It's supposed to increment yeah, a private variable, can't access directly. Okay, this is a private variable, you can't access it directly. Okay, and we put inside another function here to add, to increment the count. So it should be 2, return 2. If you put increment, if you choose increment function, is supposed to return 2. If you choose decrement, it's supposed to decrease 1. Get count, the total. So right now when we run this command, okay, let me save this one, and when we run this command, we're going to get 1. The first one here, counter dot increment, is going to be 1. Okay, because 0 plus 1 is 1, right? Counter dot increment the second time, it's going to be 2. Okay, but get count is going to be 2. But when we type only count from outside, error, can't access private variable. Okay, because you can't access it from outside, right? Because it's inside the flow. So this is the concept of basic example of closure. Okay, but this, yeah, that's the basic example of closure. And there is one more here, you can just have a look at it. Okay, just have a look at it, just to see what is outer function, outer variable here. Okay, so return function, inner variable. Okay, outer variable and inner variable. So outer function, outside. So outer, outside, inner. Let's clear this one and see what it means. Let me run this one. No, save this one. Clear. So we have the outer. We're getting, it's replying to me this one. Outer and inside. The reason this, yeah. So when I call this one, okay, inside. So I'm going to, we have outer here, the outer variable, which is here. So outside is supposed to be outside here. New function equals to outer function, this one. And the new function inside supposed to be inside. Inner is supposed to be inner variable. New function inside. Yeah. The new function equals to inside. Yeah. So these are a few examples of closures. Again, this is like, I don't think we're going to use it on a daily basis. For, as I said, yeah, we're trying to learn JavaScript for React. So just understand the concept, and that's about it. You can read more about it by yourself. This keyword, this is like me or myself in English. Who me refers to depends on who's speaking. Yeah, this is important. Okay, let's say a regular function, this depends on how it's called. Okay, so this is a regular function. Okay, so and const name, say name, it's going to say name Jane, say name, and person.say name is John, person.say name is Jane. Okay, undefined call from global is inherited from the fixing this with bind and call, greeting this name, this dot name. So const user equals to name Alice, call invoke, use arrow function when you need the surrounding this, use regular function when you need the dynamic this. So the main thing about this is that it's just when we use this example, I think this example is a perfect example for this one. It's inherited from where it is defined. So let me try this one, or let me just try to run it the entire code and see what happens. We'll try to read it and no, save this one, try to run this one. So we're going to see why we got the names like this. Okay, so we have function say name, console log this name, right? We said this depends on how it's called. Okay, so so the first this is just a function still not called, so let's go ahead and use this one, const person1. Okay, name, we're just creating an object here, I think. Okay, name, and we're defining a method here, a function here, say name, and an object here, and we are also mentioning the name here. Person1, person2. This is how we create objects. Actually, this is just an object. Okay, and say name is just a function. Okay, so when we type person1 dot say name, John called from person1. Okay, and we type person2, Jane is called from person2. Okay, and say name is undefined by itself, it's undefined, called from global window in browser. This is inherited from where it is defined. Okay, const person3 name equals to Bob, say name a function, a regular function gets person3 this, and set arrow. So this is how we create methods, a function inside an object. Okay, we just type the function name here and you use function like this, and we define this one, and same here. So the idea is bind, call, and reply. Again, this is actually more advanced concepts, you don't need to go deep, just understand that this is basically it's like me or myself in English. Who, me, refers to depends to, who me refers to depends on who's speaking. Okay, remember what understand this point here. We when we called person1 dot say name, we got John. Okay, but when we call the same function, okay, but using a different object name, person2, we got Jane. Okay, so that's what it means. Me refers to depends on who's speaking. Okay, that's what this is. An object basics, object literal most common. So this is basically an object. This is how we create objects, and this is pretty straightforward. And we have the object name here, and this properties inside the object. We have properties like name equals to John, age equals to 30, email equals to different properties of this person here, this user. So we have methods. Methods is just functions. Okay, like here I can say hi, this console hi, this is name. see this example, I am this dot name. See this one? So it's going to say I'm John, right? Accessing properties, you can access it using the, let's try this one. Actually, this is a good example. Okay, let me save this one. Let's see what will reply. Nothing, because actually we're not getting it. We just defined an object here, right? So here user is just an object name. Property, user has a name property, right? And a name, this name can be anything, it can change, it doesn't have to be John, it can be anything. Just the idea is a user has a age property, email property, methods are functions, basically just functions inside an object. Yeah, I told you this refers to who's calling. Yeah, for example here in this case it's John, right? If it is another user, another name, it's going to say another name, right? Sam, it's going to say Sam. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to call it. Okay, now that we have the name, let's try to access it. Okay, let's go ahead and type user.name. Yeah, so console.log user.name. So see what happens here. John, right? Because again, we said that this is the case because we're using this one. No, because the right now user.name. Yeah, object name plus property. Okay, we have also this dot notation. We can also use the bracket notation. Okay, just copy this one, Control C, and we can use name here instead of dot location. I can just use here bracket notation. Control S, and we got an error because when you use bracket notation, you have to put it in put the property in a single and double quote. Then only it will work. And I got John again. Okay, so let's clear this one. So yeah, and adding properties, let's say I want to add a new property. So all I have to do is just type here user.city equals to New York. I can change the city to something else, New York here. Okay, let me try to call the city just to make sure it's reflected. Let me call the city here user.city. Actually, we don't have city here, it's okay. I type user.city. Yeah, it's telling me undefined user.city. Let me just add city here. City dot let's put it Washington or anything. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter. Okay, let me just put a comma here and save this one. Try to call it here. I got Washington because this is actually not working. This last command is not working. 1 second. User.city is equals to New York. Yeah, yeah, no, it's working. This is what's happening. I'm calling it before I change the name. That's why. See now? Yeah, I'm calling it before I change the name. But let's put it down here and see what happens. New York. You see what happens? We got New York instead of Washington because I just updated the object. Even, yeah, objected the property to New York. So name is true. Check if property exists. And again, this stuff is just extra. Okay, we have object keys. These are users. object methods. We have object values, object entries. Okay, so there are two different things actually. We need to try this once because this is actually useful. Object with keys. Okay, these are built-in object methods. You can type here user, see what you're going to get. Let me put this one inside console log just to see the output. If I type users here, I'm going to get the object properties only. The keys are properties. I'm going to get the properties only. Okay, the names, age, emails, and cities. But if I type here the values, it's going to give me the values, right? Yeah, like John, 30, New York, and stuff. And if I was supposed to type here, let's change this values, make it entries. It's going to return the whole thing, the whole entries, both the values and stuff. And again, you have to go, if you want to go deep, you can just go through it. Okay, properties are like DNA. If an object doesn't have a property, JavaScript looks at its property, parent DNA, and finds it. Every object has a property, like prototype. Const parent equals to this, inherited I am from this one. Yeah, okay, we are almost there. Let me just stop the video. Yeah, so we finished this one. I think we are on the prototypes, right? If an object doesn't have a property, JavaScript looks at its prototype parent DNA to find it. So inherited I'm from the parent. Actually, I don't see the purpose of this. And there is one more way of creating an object. We can do it using the object create here, or we can do it using the new here. Yeah, we can a new object. New is a way of, we can create, we can just say new object, something like that. Yeah, we can create that one also. Let's move on to arrays, because we already covered the key ideas of topics of objects. So I think this is more than enough for us. We move on to array. Array is like a train of cars. They hold items in order, and you can process each car as the train passes. So the idea of array is basically, I showed you before the syntax. So it's very simple. So this is an array. That's it. See, focus on the bracket, right? We are using here bracket, not braces. Braces we use for objects, and for arrays we use brackets. And basically we have here how many arrays inside? We have 5, right? 5 items inside this numbers array, and it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so right now let's say I want to call this number. Okay, I'm going to just type console.log. Okay, I'm going to type here number 0. Okay, if I run this now, okay, I'm supposed to get this one. Let me clear this one, and let's type node index.jsx. Just focus on the first one. We'll go. Okay, we got here 1, right? The reason we got 1 here is because it starts from 0 and then it moves to 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. If you type here 1, you're going to get this one, 2, the output 2. Okay, so that's the idea. Yeah. And now, okay, that's how you can play with arrays. Okay, there are actually built-in methods for arrays as well, just like yeah. So you can just, if you want to add, you can use numbers here, numbers dot push. You can just type the 5. It's going to push it at the end, and we have pop also. This is going to add remove, actually remove item from an array. Okay, there are many more built-in methods you can study it on your own, but right now what we need to understand is map, filter, and reduce. These are the key things that we will use with when we interact with React, when we start using React. So the idea of this is basically map means const doubled equals to numbers dot map. So map is just like a for loop, you know. It's like a for loop, but it transforms each element, okay, returns to a new array. Okay, for example, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And this is going to do n times 2. It's going to multiply it. 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8, and 5 times 2 is 10. So it's going to give you a response like this: 2. Okay, 1 times 2, 2, and 2 times 2, 4. Yeah, this is what we got, right? So what, and put it inside a new array, call it doubled. If you output the doubled here, you're going to get this reply: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so basically it transforms each element, returns a new array. That's the purpose of map. Okay, this is, I use numbers dot map and to transform this array. Okay, I use n here. It can be anything. You can choose any variable here, it doesn't matter. Then you just type the variable times anything, or it doesn't matter if it's times or any other operation or whatever you like, you can put it here. Okay, yeah. Filter, however, is another thing. Filter keeps element that pass test, returns in the new array. Yeah, keeps the element that passes the test and returns a new array. Okay, so this is it. Right now I want to see only the even numbers, right? I want to create one array. Okay, from this I'm going to call it events, and I want to filter. I have to use dot filter. Okay, so it will check and give me the, not just give me, and put the even numbers in a separate array, call it even. Yeah, so I'm just going to use n arrow n ampersand percentage 2 equals to 0. Okay, so the output is going to be 2, 4, right? Out of here 2 and 4 are even, right? That's the idea of filter. Okay, it keeps an elements that passes the test and returns a new array. Okay, reduce boils down to a single value. Okay, reduce boils down to a single value. Like for example, you want the sum. I will use numbers dot reduce total comma n, total plus n, okay, dot comma 0. So the sum is 15. So this is a real world use case of reduce. Here we have items right here. This is actually an array, okay, but nested object. Actually, inside it we have multiple objects. Yeah, you can put anything inside an array. It doesn't have to be numbers. You can put strings here. You can put objects, whatever. Okay, so here items is an array, and inside it we have three objects. We have three objects. We have three objects. We have three objects, right? We have three objects here. So basically, grouped item dot reduce ACC item. If category doesn't exist yet, create an array. So what I'm saying is, yeah, this is items. Yeah, so yeah, reduce is just yeah, if category doesn't exist, create array. So if not item, yeah, if okay, this is what it means. Then if it exists, push. So this is one use case of reduce. Okay, it's going to filter out, and yeah, group. It's used for grouping and reducing the sum. So we have more actually. Find is actually used for numbers.find gets the first matching element. Okay, first even numbers.find n equals, okay, only the first matching elements. You see here, first event, I'm using this one, we got only 2, right? Because it's the first matching element. Sum, does any element match? Okay, so you will get a reply, yeah, does any element match? Okay, so has even, okay, every, it is do all element match? This will be false, right? Does array contains value? Includes is important also. Does array contain a value? Yeah, we're checking if 3 is part of the array or not. True. And we have here, yeah, slice. Basically, slice means like the first 3. I'm saying here, output the start from 0, okay, which is the first number, which is 0, which is up to 3 position, and put it inside first 3, like this one. It's going to output this one: 0, 1, 2, 3, 1 up to 4. You should get a reply 1 up to 4. Actually, slice. And splice removes one element at index 2, and yeah, comma 1. Yeah. Spread operators actually is copy and combine. Spread operators, we've talked about it. We have more numbers here. Combined, yeah. So yeah, so basically I told you before, when I put 3 dots here, I'm just saying take the rest of the arguments or the numbers, okay, array, and combine it with this one, add the 6, 7, 8. So more numbers is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? The same as this one plus that one. So that's what we are saying when we put 3 dots here. Combined equals to this one with more numbers. Destructuring is like when you take stuff from like let's say from numbers, you just want few items. You don't want the whole numbers, the whole array, right? You can just choose here first, second, and rest. yeah, going to display first and second, and the rest is going to put it on the separately. This is basically the key things that we need to understand. We need for each as well on arrays. Okay, again, we will do this all in practice, and you just need to have an idea of how it works. And async await, asynchronous JavaScript, the most important. Yeah, so async programming is like ordering food at a restaurant. You place your order, make requests, then do other things while waiting, and get notified when the food is ready. Okay, so check this analogy, it's very important. Async programming is like ordering food. When you order a food at a restaurant and you place an order, you make a request, right? And then do other things. You can do whatever you want while waiting and get notified when the food is ready. Okay, that's the idea of async JavaScript programming. Async await, that means like having a personal assistant. Yeah, so let's see, we are going to use this a lot actually. Async is like we can use it here. Async function, fetch user data. Okay, now we're going to talk about event loops. Okay, before we start talking about event loops, I just want to explain to you what's synchronous and asynchronous code. Okay, I will do that by doing one example. Okay, that covers all the scenarios here. Copy this one. Okay, I'm going to open here. Okay, now I just need you to think about how exactly. Okay, this is actually useful for you also, yeah, like for interview questions. Like they might give you something like this and tell you, give me what order will the JavaScript output this? What will be the response of this in the right order? Yeah. Okay, like we have here start, console log, timeout, promise, and end, right? So how can we know? So there are a few things that we need to know about JavaScript. Is that JavaScript runs a synchronous code first. Okay, always. Okay, JavaScript runs synchronous code always. So if you run this now, okay, you're going to get start first output, and second you're going to get this one, end. Okay, not timeout, not promise, end, because this is considered synchronous, right? Both those are not actually synchronous, asynchronous tasks, because timeout is a method in JavaScript that is used to, like, for example, let's say I put here, I'm saying display this output after 0 seconds, or this can be changed any millisecond. Okay, so it will take time, right? It's not going to display immediately on the so that's what we mean by asynchronous. Okay, same thing goes here. This is a promise. Like for example, here is going to wait for the promise to resolve, then only we can display this one. Both this are actually asynchronous tasks. So JavaScript is going to run this one first and this one first. Second rule is that we have two types. What JavaScript, what it's going to do with those two is actually it's going to send it to the queue. Okay, we have something called task queues. Okay, handles asynchronous tasks. Okay, so JavaScript, the event loop is going to send the tasks, the promise or set timeout tasks to the queue. Okay, it's not going to wait because JavaScript is actually single threaded. JavaScript is single threaded. That means it can only run one task at a time. Run one task at a time. At a time. Okay, that's the reason we have event loops. That's why we use event loops. Because otherwise when JavaScript like runs this code, okay, gives you the output start, then it will have to wait for this one to finish, right? Like assume this is like this one, like for example, is going to wait until this finishes, then only it's going to run the second one. Yeah, right. It's not going to work because it will block the other tasks to complete. Okay, that's why we have event loop. It just shoves those asynchronous tasks to the queue to wait. Okay, because to wait, and then runs the synchronous code. Okay, we have two types of queues actually. Queues. We have micro tasks and macro tasks. Okay, this has higher priority. Micro task has higher priority than lower priority than macro task. So for example, macro task is like set timeout. Is one example of timeout. Set timeout is actually an example of a micro task. Macro task, okay, and a micro task has another example. Micro task has is like a promise. Okay, micro task is a promise. It's like a promise. Okay, we'll talk about promise in detail. Just know that micro task is, when we say micro task, we mean like basically promises. Okay, so basically this is how it works, the JavaScript runtime. Okay, this is how it works. First it's going to run this one, and we have callback stack, call stack. Okay, so the call stack is where the synchronous code exists. So first it's going to send this to the call stack. We're going to run this one, right? It's going to output start. Next it's going to output this one, okay, end. Okay, and once we finish all the call stack, okay, and these two are going to be shoved to the queue actually. Okay, set timeout, this one is going to be shoved to the as a macro task. Okay, this is going to be a micro task. Okay, once the call stack is empty, it's going to go to run promise before set timeout, because this is a micro task. Micro tasks has higher priority, right? That means promises will run before will output before set timeout, like macro tasks. Okay, so basically this is it. So you can guess the output now, how it will be. You can see the output here. Let's do here. See what happens now. Okay, yeah, you see here start. It output start first, then end, then it output end. Okay, then the promise, because it has higher priority. Actually, promises have higher priority than macro task, like set timeout. Then the set timeout. Okay, so this is the idea. This is the answer for this. If you get this, and you will most definitely get this. Okay, this is to demonstrate your knowledge about asynchronous and synchronous tasks, and an interview. It's very important. And yeah, so promises always run before. Yeah, so up to this point is clear. So promises, okay, what we need to know about promise is actually is a future value. Okay, promise means is a future value. Okay, usually we use it like to fetch from an API. Okay, mostly we are going to use it to fetch from the backend or from the server or from another code base or another system. Okay, we use the API, and the API is actually asynchronous. So you have to use async await. So we have to wait, right, to receive the response from the API. So that's what we call promise actually. So we might get different states. We might get pending initially, and then fulfilled if it's successful, rejected if it's error. This is an example of a basic promise. Okay, you can type this one, and to use the promise you can use p.then results this one. Okay, this is just to explain it to you, but we don't use this anymore actually. There is a better way of doing this, but what you need to know is like after then it means success, right? Catch, error, and try catch. Okay, so it means like this. We will use async await in real world. Okay, this is cleaner promises, same as concept as promises, just the only difference is that it's cleaner. Okay, for example here, let's write this one. Okay, this is how it is, the promise, the old way it means. Like you're going to fetch from this API, okay, then take the result and res.json, then data equals to console.output the data here. Okay, but if you use async await, however, we're going to use yeah, if you use async await, which is the common ways of using it, it's this one. Okay, so basically async function get data. Okay, const res equals to await fetch API. Okay, and data equals to await res to JSON console log data. Okay, let me just run this one. You were not getting any because the API is actually wrong, but the idea is that yeah, and remember to use, you cannot use await here without async. It will not work. If you run this command now, remove this one. Okay, see, it will give you an error. Await expression are only allowed within async functions at the top. You have to use async here. Okay, async here. Okay, and basically I'm fetching the data from the API and I'm putting it in res, and I'm just converting to JSON format, and await putting it into data. Okay, that's the idea. Await only inside async function. Await pauses that function only. So basically await means wait. I'm just pausing this function. And promise pauses and returns a promise. The response is going to be a promise. Of this is going to be a promise. Okay, so error handling, we have try catch. Okay, await creates micro tasks. Yeah, because micro tasks are basically promises, right? That's why it runs before timers. So we have something called for error handling. This is what we do. We just type here try. Okay, and we put here catch here after this one. Catch, and we put here error, just a variable here, and that's it. It's console log console dot log dot error. So basically when I run this command, I'm going to get nothing because I'm not really running it. So we have to call the function actually. and save this one and clear this one and load. So this is the error, right? So this is what try catch is used for. Actually, it's used for error handling. You have to type try after this thing, and yeah. So optional chaining, okay, it's used to safely access nested data properties, prevent crashes. Okay, for example, let's say you want to access user address city, okay, but if address is missing, you're going to get an error, right? Okay, this is from most likely from an object, right? You're trying to access object from an object. If address is missing, you're going to get an error. But if you put optional chaining, okay, you put here question mark before user and before address. So if user and address returns undefined, if address and user don't exist, it's going to return undefined instead of crashing the application. This is the benefit of optional chaining, actually. Example here, we have user here, okay, which is supposed to be, let me show you here, yes. And so when we run this, we're getting undefined here, okay, but assume that we remove the question marks here, okay. What will happen? What will happen? You get an error. It's telling you cannot read properties of undefined. Reading name. Okay. Yeah. Cannot read properties of undefined. So this is the error that you will get. This kind of errors you will get. But if I put question mark here, which is optional chaining, we're just saying, like, if it is not available, just give me undefined. No crash. Use when API data has optional fields, deep objects, yeah. So we have one more concept, nullish collisating, okay. This is actually null or undefined. We have, yeah, this is a problem, null or undefined. Yeah, provides default only if you receive null or undefined. So problem with this one, cons count this one 10, the output will be 10, right? Which is wrong. Count equals to 0 or 10, because 0 is falsy. Fix with this one. Count equals to 0 or 10. Count is equals to 0. Example. Let's use it in a reasonable example here. Let's see what it means. Difference. Or is for falsy values, and this is only null and undefined. Let me just remove this one and type this one and go ahead and run console.log and username. Let me just run this one. Because this is because actually, yeah, because we don't have a property, we don't have a how everything connects, real world flow. Yeah, this is how everything connects, right? Await, this is a promise, and what happens internally. Fetch is from web API, response promises, event loop executed, optional chaining, safe access. So that's the idea here. Okay, few more topics just to before we close. So we need to know about the OR operator. This is the OR operator. Okay. So basically, OR operator, this is how it works. Okay. If A is truthy, returns A. Okay. If A is falsy, returns B. So if this is true, returns A. So if this is false, it returns B. That's it. So false means it can be false, boolean false, or it can be 0. It can be empty like this, empty braces. It can be null. It can be undefined. It can be not a number. Everything else is truthy. Okay, so A has to be one of this in order for us to run B. Okay, so let me give you the common use case. Better we do this one. I prefer to try this one. The most common use case for this is const username. Okay, user input and guest. So I'm going to console.log bracket username. So this is what we are doing right now. We are saying, okay, if the user entered an input, okay, a name, like he puts their name, okay, it's true, right? We're going to run this one. We don't need the guest. But if he doesn't put the name, like if it's empty or it's null or whatever, undefined, we can just run guest. So right now the answer should be guest. Hello guest, right? cd, no, clear this one, clear, and we didn't define, so let us just use input. Let's assume, let's put an empty field here to simulate that no one actually yeah, so I just received the response guest, right? So let's say I type here some name here. See what's going to happen. If I run this, I'm just going to get my name, John, right? So because this will only run in case this is empty, this is false. That means this is empty or null or undefined or 0 or something like that. Only that's then it will run this one. That's the idea of this one. We have AND operator also. AND operator returns first falsy or last truthy. Return A. So we have one more here. We can just change this one just for the sake of or let's do this one. Let's change the example. This is the common use case. Okay, so let me just let is logged in equals to true. Okay, so basically I'm saying he's logged in. Okay, if it is logged in, okay, then show dashboard. So now if I run this one, because there is nothing actually, show dashboard is not defined, so because the function is not actually, doesn't exist. But let me do it, no problem. Let me just go ahead and do it. Show dashboard, dashboard. Okay, and yeah, I'm using arrow function here, so I'm going to return to use here. I'm going to return welcome using backticks here. Welcome, I will add name here, so welcome, yeah. So I'm just going to add name here. Let name equals to, just for the sake of testing, we're just going to do this one, and let's just put this one here. So basically what will happen if I run this one now? No, because I'm actually running it. I'm calling it, but it's not running. I'm returning this one. I'm returning the... Yeah, I'm returning it, but I have to put it inside console log, I think, so we can see what exactly we are getting. And yeah, welcome John. Okay, that's what I got, right? The reason is because I'm logged in. But what if I put this false? False. And it's not going to run anything, because it's not even going to run this one, this function. It's not even going to call the function, because this is false. Okay, so if this is true, only this will run this one. The same like this one. If is logged in, show dashboard. Basically the same thing. So yeah, nullish collisating, I think we did this already. No, we didn't. Yeah. So the difference between this one, nullish collisating, which is 2 question marks, and or operator, is that in case of or operators, it will run the second variable here, b, only if all this, if it is falsy. Falsy means all this. It can be false here. Okay, it can be 0, it can be null, it can be empty, it can be undefined, it can be NA. It's too many. Everything else is truthy. Okay, but in case of nullish collisating here, okay, it's going to run only to run B only if A is null or undefined. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's 0 here. It's going to work. It's going to run B. No, it's going to output to use B. A. Okay, so in case of the nullish collisating, it will only consider null and undefined. It's going as falsy. Okay, so yeah, so the common use cases, it's not showing, but let me give you an example here. That means like yeah, like you can see it even here. Yeah, so here, if you use this 2 question marks here, okay, it's going to be null. It's not going to display the guest. The first is going to display, no, it's going to display guest. No, it's not going to display guest. It will only work when you are, no, yeah, correct. It's going to display guest. The reason is this is null, right? Here undefined is going to display guest, but here 0, or if you use empty, is going to display 0 and empty. So yeah, that's the difference. And ternary operators are basically just shorthand of if else. Like if you check what's if else is like this. So if age is greater than 18 or equals to, is going to display this one, else this one, right? There's a shorter way of doing this. Instead of doing this, we can just do this one. Make it short like this one. We can just make it short like this one, instead of going, yeah, like this. Basically here we are saying message age is greater than or equal to 18. If this is true, and you are an adult. If it is not true, you use this colon here, you're on minor. Okay, shorter hand of yeah. So this is actually the common use case, this one. Mostly we are going to use it for this one. This one. So it's going to check the status. If it is online, okay, if this is true, then display online. If it is false, display offline. Okay, that's what it will do. Okay, So that's what we are saying. So if is online is if it is online, if this is true, okay, it will display online. If it is false, it's going to display this one. Yani it is if this is true, yeah. So we have conditional execution. Conditional execution. If is admin, yeah, we can use ampersand for conditional execution, just like what we did when with is logged in, right? We can also use is admin. If he's an admin, he can delete the zeros, delete users permission. Safe access for default plus default. Like quick decisions, we can use that like that. Yeah, so I think we need to finalize and close this subject, and we're done with JavaScript, and we're going to start with the React. And thank you for watching, and see you at the next session.